Hi everyone, my name is TJ Guardino. I'm a guitarist, producer, and live looping artist based out of Oakland, California, and I'm so excited to be talking to you today about the blackbox for live looping guitars, and particularly how I use it with a MIDI foot switch, in this case, the Live Logic by Blackstar. I love this combo, and the blackbox is really intuitive for me as a live looper. I'm going to show you how I set it up, and then I'm going to kind of recreate that intro that we saw in the black box and tell you about how I triggered those record start stops and just generally how I set this up and how I would go about performing with it. So let's pop over to the desk and I'll take you through it. All right, so before we jump in, let me quickly talk about how my signal is routed. I've got my guitar here. You can see in my handy little guitar cam on the bottom corner of the screen running into the Line 6 HX Stomp. This is handling all of my amp modeling, all of my multi-effects and everything for my guitar, and then straight out of the HX Stomp stereo into the black box, just into the audio in, and then out of the black box just straight into my computer for recording this video. And then this is the foot controller I was talking about, the Blackstar Live Logic. This is sending MIDI to the black box via the device in on the back of the black box. And the great thing about this is it's powered by the black box, so I don't need a separate power supply to plug in. I just plug this into the device input, it sends MIDI, and it's powered. And that's it. It's a really simple setup, nothing too crazy for this. And to start things off, I sequenced a really simple little drum loop here on the black box using some samples that I had. Sounds something like this. And other than that, I do have the compressor on in the black box, but nothing on the master EQ. Like I said, straight into the computer. So here's how I set this up, and here's how I perform with something like this. So typically, if you'd want to record and loop into the black box, you would have a sequence running, or you'd have it synced via MIDI to a drum machine or something. Everything would be playing. You select a pad to record into, hit info, and then hit record. And then it will start recording based on what your settings that you have here are set to. So in my case, I have a preset length of 2 bars. Record to play is on because I want it to play back. And record quantize is set to 1 bar, meaning that Blackbox is going to start recording at the nearest bar after I press record. So just a brief demonstration on how you'd record typically. Sequence is playing, tap a pad, press info, press record, and now it'll start here. It's going to record for your preset length, in my case 2 bars, and then it'll play back. But I'm a guitarist, right? I'm playing things, I'm laying down parts. I can't really be using my hands to start and stop recording, and that's where the Live Logic comes in really handy. If you go into Tools in Blackbox and then go into MIDI, you have this option here called Pad Record. And what that means, if it's on, is that certain MIDI notes that you send to the black box will trigger pad recordings immediately based on what you have selected in info. So no more tap, info, record. All I have to do is send that particular MIDI note that corresponds to the pad, and Blackbox starts recording. If you need those notes, I'm going to put them on the screen right now so you can check them out. But that's what I have these foot switches assigned to on the Blackstar. So foot switch number 1 is going to trigger recording in my top left pad. foot switch number 2, trigger recording in my next pad over, so on and so forth for all 6 foot switches. So enough of that, let me actually make some music for you all. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna put my length at 2 bars because I like having a predetermined length. It gives me one less thing to think about when I'm trying to play my guitar. So start the sequence, and then I'm gonna start recording in my top left pad. 3, 4. There it is. Now if I want to record my next pad, let's say I want to put some bass in here, I change to a bass patch on my HX Stomp. Let's try some of that. 3, 4. And there it is. Now I want to point out here that one of my favorite things about the Blackbox is I can quickly adjust volumes and pans of my loop if I'm not happy with the way that they turned out. So my bass was coming in a little hot on that last note. I can quickly turn it down and just keep going. So there's my bass. Let's add a little kind of lead part on top here. I actually forget what I played. There it is. 2, 3, 4. Let's say I want to pan this to the right and just do one of those. And then if I want to record another part and pan it to the left, something like this. There we go. So you can see how I'm just really quickly creating in the moment. I never have to stop playback, right? And of course I can solo on top. I can mute things again. And I can even play with this master EQ to filter. So this is not crazy, it's not super complicated, and really this is just kind of a basic use case for a guitarist looking to loop with the Blackbox. I love how this thing loops. It's really no fuss, and especially with a foot controller, I have to think very little when I'm laying down parts, which is important because I just want to focus on my playing. So I hope you enjoyed this. Definitely check out the Blackbox for looping if you haven't already. Thank you 1010 for having me, and I will catch you guys soon.